Hi, it's Tanya here. Welcome to my talk today, all about macros and how to tweak them for weight loss or weight gain. This talk was done live in one of my workshops. So I've taken out all the best bits and put it together so that you can watch it and learn everything you need to know about weight loss. I've taken out all the hype, the fads, the rubbish, confusion, and just laid it down for you so that it's easy to understand and implement in your own life. I hope you enjoyed the talk. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can go back to my blog. I'll put the link in the description. And in the blog, you have got a written sort of transcript where you can go through and read. I've actually added a few extra things in the blog, like carb loading, when to do that. It's some other things in there. So check that out. And on the blog as well, you have access to a free copy of my carbohydrate and protein food list. So you might find that handy as well. Enjoy the talk. Okay, so how to tweak your macros for weight loss or gain. I'm really excited about sharing this talk with you because I help so many people in consultation one-on-one. You just don't get the time to really go into these sorts of nuances in diet. So that's one reason I started doing more presentations. So what we're going to look at in this talk is everything you need to know for weight loss or weight gain outside the realm of a performance athlete. So, you know, I've never worked with a performance athlete personally. It's quite a rare and very, very niche group of people. So this is for, you know, us normal people.
I'm drawing on it.
Someone else is drawing. Cool. Okay, we'll calculate your daily calorie needs. So you'll learn how to do that. There's a little bit of maths involved there. You'll learn what macros are and how to balance them properly for your weight goals. We'll talk about the most confusing macro, carbs. Who here finds carbs the most confusing? Put in the chat, let me know if this is like the area where you get most baffled by. We're going to demystify that totally. I'm going to give you my simple formula for weight loss or gain. So keeping it really, really easy. And at the end, I've got a really cool offer that you might like. So a little bit about me. Pretty much all you guys have met me. Some of you have known me for a long time, some a short time. So my name is Tanya Kersbach. I'm a qualified and registered naturopath in Australia. So a naturopath is like this qualification that includes herbalism, nutritional medicine, and naturopathy. So it's a health science-based course. Yes, I am a lazy cook. I've written a cookbook. It's on Amazon, but all my recipes are really easy. I always look for shortcuts. So I love eating healthy and cooking healthy, but I always look for the easy way to do it. So I've worked in Australia's leading alternative health thyroid clinic for 5 years. So that's where I probably got my most intense experience helping people with weight loss, because that's generally the primary motivator for people who went to that clinic was hormonally stuck weight. I have helped hundreds of people lose weight, gain energy, and improve their health. I'm an author, and I have personally experienced many health challenges, as some of you know. Some of my friends have seen a lot of my journey. Weight has been a problem all my life. My siblings were naturally skinny up until middle age, and I was always the chubby one. So I was always teased because I was the cuddly one of, you know, the kids, and I could just put on weight like looking at cake. So for me, weight has been a bit of a constant thing. Yes, I've had some, not good habits around eating and stuff in my history. But what I'm really proud of is that now I'm past menopause. I'm in middle age, and I am at my perfect weight. And honestly, there was a time I never thought that would be possible. Oh, okay. So that's a bit about me. This is the maths part. So we want to learn how to calculate your calories. Now, there are a lot of nuances to weight loss and weight gain, but really when you look at, I guess, the leading factor of it all, it is calories, how much you eat and how much you use. If you're in a calorie deficit, your body is going to have to do something about that, and it will lose weight. If you're eating too many calories, it will store weight. What weight you lose and gain is controlled by your macros. Now, I think everyone has probably gone on a fasting period or a dramatic weight loss sort of program where they've lost a lot of weight, but it's all water weight. So you can lose water weight, you can lose muscle, you can lose fat, even the contents of your stomach, like you can lose, up to 3 kilos, depending how much food is stored in your stomach. So weight is a very variable thing. But when I talk about weight loss, I'm really looking at fat loss. That's what the goal is, fat loss. We want to preserve muscle mass, lose fat. And if you're trying to gain weight, you're wanting to gain muscle mass and gain weight in that way, unless you're underweight. So it starts with calories. So counting your calories, you do need to know your body fat percentage. And I shared a little link in the event page on how to do that. So there's a couple of ways you can do it. The calculator that you can use online uses measurements. So you just use a tape measure to measure around certain parts of your body, and then it calculates it. You can get scales that count your body fat, which is what I use. I use just the cheap ones from Kmart or Target. They're $20 or $30. They're super cheap now. It used to be $200 not that long ago to get these sorts of scales. So you can buy body mass index scales very cheap. They're not that accurate, honestly, but they're a guide. And I find that's a good guide when I am trying to lose weight, because I can track body fat, water mass, all that. Okay, so let's have a look. So your first step is to get out your calculator and put in your body weight in kilograms. Now, we're all women here, so you multiply that by 0.9. If you're a man, well, 1.0, which would leave it the same. Then step 3 is multiply that by 24. And then step 4, you multiply it by the lean factor, which is the box above the text here. So for females, you can see the body fat percentage. This is why you needed to know it. So me, I'm sitting between 19 and 28. So wherever your body fat percentage is sitting, then you need to multiply it by the number next to it, the lean factor. Now you get that number and you multiply it by the activity modifier, which is over here on the right. So you've got to pick which box you fit in to get an idea of your activity levels. And that's a little bit of fine tuning just in figuring out which one is you. So me, I go to the gym 3 times a week. I do a bit of gardening. I walk the dogs every day, but I am sitting a lot of the day at my job. So I would probably put myself as light. When I was working at the zoo, that was definitely a bit around and stuff. Okay, so that sum, once you've multiplied it by your activity modifier, that's your daily calorie intake needs. That's what you need to eat a day just to maintain your body size. When you're wanting to lose weight, you want to consume 400 to 500 calories less than that. And if you're wanting to gain weight, you're wanting to consume, more. So depending how much weight you're wanting to put on, but generally 500 calories more a day. So what are the macros? Macros is a short term for macronutrients. So they are elements of the diet we need in large quantities. So what are the macros? Macros, so we've got our fats, our carbohydrates, and our proteins. So they're the basic groups, 3 groups. And then we've got micronutrients, which are nutrients we need in tiny, tiny quantities. They're things like your vitamins and minerals, which we're not talking about today. So protein, this is probably the one we need to look at the most for weight loss or muscle gain. So it's an essential macronutrient, which means it's essential to get it from our food. We have to eat protein. Our body can't make it itself. It can't store much protein, so we need to eat it regularly. So protein, like what you see in that steak there, that protein molecule actually isn't used by the body. It has to be broken apart into amino acids. And our body can't store many of the amino acids for too long. So we do need to eat it regularly. When we don't have enough or we have a protein deficiency, you get things like weakness, low energy, low moods, skin issues, fluid retention. It affects digestion and it weakens the immune system. Too much protein isn't good either. It overloads the kidneys, the liver, causes fluid imbalances, constipation, and leads to an overly acidic system. So that's not good. We don't want to be overly acidic. That leads to things like bone loss, recurrent infections, ulcers in the mouth, not good. So the goal is to include a source of protein at every meal, and that helps stabilize blood sugar, keep your energies more level, and helps maintain and build muscle mass and keep your bones healthy. So how much protein do you need? For an inactive person, the estimation is 1 gram per kilo of body weight a day. So that's pretty easy calculation. If you're 60 kilos, that's 60 grams of protein a day. But this is where people get a bit tripped up. Every food source has a different amount of protein in it. So 100 grams of chicken only has, I think, 30 grams of protein. So it's not pure protein. So this is where you need to look at the foods you're eating and calculate how much protein you're getting out of the foods a day. Athletes and people who are doing a lot of training. So if you're going to the gym, you're doing, I don't know, maybe 5 days a week of training with, there's weights, there's cycling, some cardio, maybe you're walking as well through the day and being quite active. Definitely you want to go for 1.5, even up to 1.8 grams per day. If you have a real hormone imbalance with very low adrenal hormones, I do like to get people to aim for 1.5 because proteins help to rebuild the body. And then if you're wanting to build muscle mass, you're doing heavy weights at the gym to build muscle, then you can go as high as 2 grams. And like full on bodybuilders, they go up to 3 grams. They eat a lot of protein. Okay, protein and weight loss. It really is the key macro for weight loss, muscle building, and hormone health. And of course, if you're recovering from any illness or injury, because proteins are building blocks for repair and cellular function. So if you're recovering, you definitely want to keep your protein up too. But for weight loss, it works in a couple of ways. So it's lower in calories per gram than fats. So, it's quite good in that sort of sense. It's thermogenic. So it heats, your body creates heat by processing it, which means you burn more calories just digesting it. So it's quite thermogenic. If you've ever done a fasting period or maybe a juice cleanse where you haven't had protein, you might have noticed how your body temperature drops and you get colder. That's because foods like protein really do increase your body temperature. Protein keeps you fuller longer. It reduces cravings. And that's really key if you are trying to lose weight. Hunger's not a bad thing. Don't be scared of being hungry as long as it's not debilitating. You don't want to be hungry where you feel shaky or weak or anything, but a little bit of hunger is good and normal when you are trying to lose weight, but you don't want too much of it. So protein is what helps cut that down so you don't have excessive hunger. So this study, there's a little link on the slide. There's a million studies on protein and weight loss, but this particular study showed that after people had lost weight, they tracked them to see, how quickly they just put it back on. And the people who increased their protein intake just slightly from 15% up to 18% of their diet daily, they had 50% lower weight regain. So that was an interesting study. To track your protein, you really want to use an app. That's just the easiest way. Doing it on pen and paper is so old school and does take a lot of time and effort because you need to, write down all your foods and you calculate how much you ate and then you calculate your calories. Just use an app. Apps also have, a lot of them have built in like scanners, so you can just scan the food and it populates the results. So what if you're a vegan or vegetarian? Proteins are just as important, but finding the right amounts and combining that with weight loss can be tricky. So you need to combine your proteins properly because otherwise you don't get that balance in amino acids needed for optimal health. So I'll just skip through this rather quickly, but to get a complete protein on a vegan or vegetarian diet, you need to mix a grain and a legume to make a complete protein. So these are some examples: black beans and rice, pasta and peas, wheat bread and peanut butter, bean soup and crackers. You can also mix nuts and seeds plus legumes, and that will make a complete protein meal. So that could be roasted nuts, seeds, and peanuts. Hummus. Hummus is a great one for vegans because it's done. It's a complete sort of protein. Lentils and almonds. And then you've got some vegan sauces which are already complete, so you don't have to combine them. And that's your list of them there: amaranth, quinoa, hemp seeds, chia seeds, and a lot of the soy. This is sort of focusing on the grains, but a lot of all the soy products are a complete protein as well. Okay, so that's a bit about protein. So I guess what we've really learned that for weight loss and weight gain, protein is essential, and you need to have 1 gram or 1.5 or 2 grams per kilo body weight a day. So that's sort of the goal. Carbohydrates. Who gets confused by carbs? It's a huge macro, and there's a lot of variances under the umbrella term of carbohydrate. So carbs are actually non-essential. We do not need them to survive. Our body can actually make energy without carbs in the diet, which is why people can go on the carnivore diet or the keto diet, which eliminate carbohydrates and survive. I don't think it's healthy long term, but they definitely can survive. So there are three main types of carbohydrates. You've got sugar, that's your simple form. You have starch. So starch is, like the stuff in potatoes when you boil them, it sits around the side of the pan, it's hard to scrub off. And then you have your fiber, which is a complex carb, and really important for our gut health. So they're the sort of three main categories of carbohydrate. And then we got more categories. I'll talk about simple and complex in the next slide. But carbohydrates are really important in our diet for supplying us with quick release energy because it's sugar. Carbohydrates are basically sugar, just sugars in different forms that are absorbed in different ways in the body. Carbs give us brain food. So glucose is the brain's number one fuel source. That's a good reason to have carbs in the diet, especially if you have brain fog. The higher the GI or the glycemic index of the carbs, the faster the energy. So simple carbs, we can sort of see by the picture, simple carbs are absorbed really fast into the bloodstream and give you a big spike of sugar. So they give you energy very, very quickly. And your complex carbs, they have slower release energy. That's because usually they have fiber and starches combined in there. Too much carbs, not good, especially if you're eating a lot of the simple carbs. So excess carbohydrate intake triggers too much insulin, and too much sugar and insulin in the bloodstream leads to fat storage. But if we don't eat carbs, then our body has to get energy out from another place. Now, the way that our body gets energy is different for everyone. Some people have what's called metabolic flexibility, where they can do things like fast all day and not, get hypoglycemic. So everyone's metabolic flexibility is different. So when we don't eat carbs, which is immediate energy, then our adrenal glands kick in and we get some of those cortisol hormones to help us get that energy that we want. Cortisol interestingly breaks down into sugar quite quickly. So it circulates around the bloodstream through the liver pulls it apart into glucose molecules, and then that feeds us energy. Anyone here who's suffered with fatigue in the past will know that if you use that adrenal system too much, it ends up biting you in the butt and you end up with adrenal fatigue. So it's all about balance when it comes to hormones. We also can get energy from breaking down muscle tissue and breaking down fat. Again, there's individual variances here. Some people will break down fat for energy better than others. I do find for people that have a bit of a hormone imbalance, their body will go for muscle breakdown first. It leaves the fat alone. It's like, no, we'll save the fat there in case the next apocalypse comes. We'll use the muscle for energy. And that's not what we want. But the first point of call is really the adrenal energy. So when you go really low carb, it's usually the adrenals which are getting pulled on for energy. So simple versus complex, keep it real simple. So simple carbs are basically sugar, things that turn into sugar really quick. It even tastes like sugar when you put it in your mouth. So glucose, fructose, sucrose, lactose, maltose. So they're all types of sugar. Then they will come in things like, honey, fruit, different sweeteners, white bread, cereals, biscuits, noodles, pasta, white rice, cakes, muffins, pastry. So they're your simple carbs. Basically, they're simple. Your body can break it down very quickly, push the sugar into your bloodstream very easily. Then you've got complex carbs. So they take a little bit longer for your body to utilize the sugars, which means a slower release of sugar in the blood. That is a good thing. So they are rich in nutrients. They keep you fuller longer, give you good energy, usually more steady energy. They give your gut bacteria some nice fiber to eat, keeps them healthy and happy. It calms the nervous system because it will actually feed and nourish the nervous system, and complex carbs also provide energy. So there's an example of some of those complex carbs. So we've got, again, it breaks it down as like category, then another category, then another category. So we've got starchy and non-starchy complex carbs. When we're wanting to lose weight, then you sort of tend to go more towards the non-starchy carbs to bulk out the diet. Because remember what I said earlier, starch is sugar. Starch just breaks down into sugar molecules. I'll share a little story with you. When I was about 4 or 5, I think, I remember my mum was very into craft, and she used to make these beautiful crocheted things. And she made this crocheted swan. So it was this beautiful white crocheted doily sort of thing, but molded into the shape of a swan. And it was sort of set like a centerpiece on a side table. And it was stiff, like a little statue. And I learned at the age of 4 that if I put it in my mouth, that it tasted quite nice. It was really sweet, and I would suck on it, and then the part I'd suck on it go all floppy. So my mum actually used sugar to make that stiff. So she made a solution of water, sugar, put the doily in it, and then dried it and molded it. So that is a great example of starch being just sugar. So we often forget about that. So that's why for weight loss, you go more towards the non-starchy vegetables, which is basically all your vegetables except sweet corn, potato, sweet potato, and pumpkin. I hope that makes sense. Okay, the next slide. So this is about carb cycling. And this is what I have found works best for me, for my body personally. And I feel it's more natural as well. Like it's sort of going more with our natural ebbs and flows of how we evolved as a human. So when we carb cycle, it means that there are periods of low carb and higher carb in the diet that are combined with our level of activity. So remember, carbs give us instant energy. So there are times where we want that instant energy, particularly before a workout. So having a little bit of sugar right before a workout means that your body has instant access to that glucose, which allows you to work out harder and longer, and also facilitates better recovery. So a little bit of simple carb before the workout and after the workout, along with protein after the workout, gives you those macronutrients to get the most out of your workout. So why do you want to work harder? You want to build your muscle mass. Muscle mass is essential to boost your metabolism, which then helps keep your calorie levels, your daily calorie needs are a little bit higher when you have more muscle mass. Plus it looks good. Looks good to be toned. Feels good to be toned and strong and fit. So some ideas for pre-workout carb are listed. So dates, some toast or a corn thin with a little bit of raw honey, banana. I tend to not to eat a whole banana. I find it's a bit much because I work out in the morning first thing. So I'll have half a banana, a sports drink. You can get pre-workout drinks now, or a bit of fruit juice, or even something like a small boiled white potato. So you don't want too much in your belly. You just want a little bit, but that just gives you, that little bit of energy to get going. Now, what would happen if you don't have a simple carb before you work out? Your body would use adrenal energy. And that's great when you're young. When you're 20, 30, you got plenty of adrenal juice there. Your body's very forgiving. But as we age, we don't have that resilience so much. So that's where it's really useful to support your energy just by tweaking your macros correctly. With protein, after a muscle building workout, you need to get an isolated protein. They always cost a little bit more, but the word you're looking for is isolated. And always mix it just with water. Don't put it in milk. Don't make a smoothie out of it, just water. Because when you mix other stuff in with your smoothie, what happens is you add fats and you add this and you add that, and suddenly you don't have a nice, easy to absorb protein powder. It slows down absorption. So you just have your protein shake straight after your workout within 40 minutes. I take mine to the gym and then drink it on the way out. If you're doing lighter exercise, like going for maybe a 30-minute walk, you can get away without a little bit of carbohydrate, but it does depend on your body. So play with it, see how it feels. As long as you're working in the calories of those carbs into your day, it will probably serve you well just to have a little bit of something before your walk. Carb cycling also has many variances. So this is what I do. I work out 3 times a week, and this is what I do those weeks. I go low carb on my non-workout days, and then I eat carbs. Like I'll have a wrap, or I'll have gluten-free toast, or, have carbs on my workout days. But there's many variances. So that's something, if you're interested in, you can definitely look up or work with a nutritionist to get more, personalized stuff going. Some modifications for carbs. So for weight loss, you want to aim for 25 to 30% of your calories coming from carbs, but mostly those non-starchy carbs. For chronic fatigue, you want more complex carbs. So the slow release, energy into the body. It's very important for recovery. You should never go low carb when you are recovering from adrenal fatigue. If you are eating starchy carbs like breads or pasta, combine it with other things like a healthy protein or fat. It just balances out the GI of glycemic index of the meal and helps slow down that sugar spike. Okay, this slide I'm just going to skip over because it's not important for us. I just put it in here to round out information on carb intake, but it shows the different carb intakes which are used for different conditions. So a very low carb diet can be used, you know, for different things like neurological disorders, right through to the high carb diet, which is used by athletes. Okay, fats. So why do we need fats? Fats are really important. They make up cell membranes, promote nerve and brain health, increase absorption of fat-soluble vitamins, vitamins A, D, E, and K. The cool thing about fats is we do store these vitamins for quite a long time in the body. So you can get away with periods of time where you strip fats away from the diet, but you need to reintroduce it. And a lot of people fall flat on their face there because they start reintroducing fats without modifying their calorie intake, because every time you lose weight, you need to modify your calorie intake because you need less. So a lot of people will lose weight. They're like, yeah, I'm used to eating this way. I'm having my protein. I've got my salad. Now I'm going to add fats in. But they don't look at the overall calories. So then when they put the fats in, they put on weight just basically because fats are higher in calories. You shouldn't eliminate fats for more than 60 days because that's when you start going into nutrient deficiency. Fats also help protect your organs and bones. It decreases appetite. It's a backup fuel source. So that's why you can go without carbs on a keto diet. They're the most calorie dense of the macros. So for every gram of a fat you're eating, you get 9 calories, whereas the other ones, protein and carbs, only have 4. Fats do not make you gain weight. Eating too many calories does. So, you know, I think now we've all got a much better understanding that fats do not make us gain weight. But back in the 80s and 90s, it was all low fat, low fat, low fat. So quickly about the keto diet, I'm not going to endorse this or, you know, expect you to do it, but it's just for information because it is a cool diet. So it's a low carb diet, high fat, moderate protein. You can see in the image there, like mostly it's fat. The emphasis is on counting carbs instead of protein and keeping the carbs below 50 grams a day. The body has to go into what's called ketosis, which is where you burn fat. And you measure that every day with urine sticks or blood prick test, which is more accurate, is the blood one. When you're in ketosis, interestingly enough, you're burning a lot more calories. So you're burning about 300 calories more a day. If you don't get there, then, you know, there's little tweaks you can do, like taking fat bombs and bulletproof coffee. Don't know if you've heard of that, but there's, you know, all these little hacks you can do to try to push your body into ketosis. It's also been used for lots of disorders, which is really interesting, particularly neurological disorders. So things like seizures, a lot of studies have been done on children with seizures and how well it worked for stopping them without medication, and dementia or Alzheimer's. So this diet has had some pretty amazing health outcomes for various conditions. However, long-term use shows diminishing results. So people often get a good result in the first sort of 6 weeks, and then it sort of stops. So what a lot of people will do is do it cyclically. So they combine it with some carbs, some exercise, maybe some intermittent fasting. So there's lots of variations people do with the keto diet. And then there's just some other factors that affect weight loss that I wanted to mention, just in case you. So the hormones, thyroid would be the main hormone. So if your hormones are out of balance, then that, even with a low calorie diet, could be the thing affecting your weight loss. If you are suboptimal hypothyroid, on average, you need less than 500 calories less a day just to maintain your weight. And I've seen, working in a thyroid clinic, I saw this all the time. So thyroid function slows down. You need to eat less to maintain your weight. Then what happens is nutrient deficiencies start to sneak in and the metabolism slows down more. And I was talking to people who were eating like a bird and not losing weight, and their thyroid test would come back normal through their doctor. So that's something that, you know, if you're getting stuck with weight, definitely you'd want to look into. Adrenal stress is another factor that affects weight, particularly in midlife. Adrenals, like I said earlier, cortisol breaks into sugar. So when we're having too much adrenal hormone stress, all those hormones in your system all break down into sugar. And if you're not using up that sugar, it gets stored as fat. particularly around the middle. So that's why we get that middle age spread around the belly. So adrenal stress is another factor. Metabolic syndrome is the precursor to cardiovascular disease. So that's when your cholesterol levels are up, your triglycerides are up, your waist circumference is over 100 centimeters for women. And there's a high level of inflammation in the body. It's like you get stuck there, and it's so hard to lose weight when you have metabolic syndrome. So that's where extra naturopathic support is really needed to help address the underlying factors. And of course, a lot of medications have weight gain as a side effect, particularly the contraceptive pill and antidepressants. There's studies that have shown how they do it, particularly antidepressants. They suppress thyroid function, which affects your metabolism. So if you're on these medications and you have a goal of reducing or getting off them, you can work with a naturopath and your doctor to, create a plan to get you off them safely if it's suitable. Other factors are health history and surgeries. So, there's all sorts of things that we go through that affect weight, such as bariatric surgery. Having your gallbladder removed can affect digestion and affect belly fat. There's lots of different things there. And a history of extreme dieting that also, it can really affect the metabolism. So reinstating the metabolism takes a little bit of special guidance. So let's keep it simple. And I've put myself out there in this photo. As I mentioned at the start, I have struggled with weight all my life, and I have that type of metabolism that can put on weight real easy. If I just let go and do what other people are doing, I will put on weight, guaranteed. So for me, I used a few different things throughout the year to get down to my ideal weight, which is now. Oh, I'm even wearing the same shirt as right now as I am in the picture. But keep it really simple. So step one is calculate your daily calorie needs and then recalculate it every week, because as you lose weight, that changes. If you're wanting to lose weight, reduce that by anywhere from 300 to 500 calories for weight loss. And if you're wanting to gain weight, add 500 calories. Then you need to look at your protein requirements. So again, do it weekly. So calculate how much protein you need and base your entire meal plan on that. So keeping it really simple, just focus on the protein. Once you know your protein, then you can choose the rest and basically let your carbs and fats just fall into place. Just don't worry too much about them. Honestly, by just focusing on your calories and your protein, usually it's enough to lose weight. And then, you can add in your exercise and your carb cycling if you need to. But once you got your protein, choose your carb sources on your exercise days. And then whatever's left, you can use as your allowance for fats. And then on your remaining non-exercise days, make them your low carb days. So low starchy carb. So you're still having your fruit, a little bit of fruit, lots of veggies, but plan your protein first. Now, if you want to do intermittent fasting, you can. There's definitely lots of benefits in weight loss, but it doesn't suit everyone. Again, it's just about the calorie count. So if your goal is, 2,000 calories a day, you can have them in an 8-hour eating window, or you can have it in a 12-hour eating window. It doesn't really matter. Use an app to track it, much easier. MyFitnessPal is there's a great free version you can use. And then the key to success is consistency and adjustments. Where people usually fall down is the adjustment side. They lose, 3 or 4 kilos. They're like, yay, I feel great, I look great. And then just sort of forget about it. And then the weight comes back. It's the adjustments. That's the key. So I've given you the tools. I'm hoping that made sense and gave you a bit of a mathematical, common sense, science-based rationale behind weight loss. So you can go off and do it alone, or you can do it with a coach and a group. I have got something really cool coming up next year. So I've done a lot of weight loss with individuals, but also with groups. And I found the groups are the most successful way of doing it. People who excel at anything, but particularly weight loss or weight gain, have support. The other thing with group programs is it increases your accountability. That can be one of the hardest things with trying to lose weight by yourself, is keeping yourself accountable, because you've only got yourself to be accountable to. So group programs really help that. It puts a bit of pressure on, to step up, to push that through the discomfort. Inevitably, that comes with any change. There's discomfort. So groups help you push through that and sort of level up to that next step. And of course, it makes it more fun. As I've mentioned, many people are usually good for the first few weeks on a weight loss plan, but undo their good work in the most important part of the weight loss journey, which is the maintenance area. My weight loss program looks after you in this part. But if you don't maintain your weight loss, you actually rebound. So in the maintenance phase, it needs to be the same amount of time as what your weight loss phase was. In your maintenance phase, what it does hormonally is it sets into your hypothalamus that your new skinnier size is your normal size. That's you now. When you have that set, your weight set point changes. And then after your maintenance period, that's where you can get away with things like going on holiday and having, 3 or 4 meals that are, really calorie dense, like pasta or whatever. You get away with it. You can eat it. Your body doesn't store the fat. That's the key to weight loss, is maintenance. We know that, I can't remember, I read a statistic how many million weight loss plans and diets there are out there. I really have found the fastest one. And in my program, I've also built in some emotional release work, because when there's excess body weight, there is always emotional weight as well to release and shift. And I've had some interesting results with clients who got stuck on a plateau, and they would do a emotional release meditation and then suddenly lose the weight, like time and time again. Like it wasn't just a one-off. So I've built it in weekly so that we're emptying out on not just that body layer of releasing excess weight, but emotional as well. And this is what we're doing. So it's a 6-week program. I've called it Leaner Me in 23 to kick you off on a weight loss reset program. So this is really for people who want to lose 5 or more kilos. If you only need to lose 1 or 2, this isn't for you. This is if you have 5 or more kilos to lose. Average weight loss is 7 kilos in 3 weeks. It's rapid weight loss, but it is so effective. It reduces inflammation. Because you're losing weight quite quickly, it's very motivating to stick to it. It's like you just want to see, what's going to happen the next day and the next day. So the program includes weight loss drops. All the meal plans are included, but we'll also work together as a group to build meal plans if you don't like the ones provided. You'll detox at a cellular level as well. Wow, you stayed till the end. That's kudos to you. It's a long talk. I hope you got heaps out of it. And I'd love to see you at the Leaner Me in 23 program. So if you have 5 kilos or more of excess weight that you're wanting to shift, whether it's hormonal weight or just Christmas binge weight, connect in. So I'll pop the link so you can register and get into the program. If you have any questions about the program, if you want to just discuss medications that you're on, and if this is a suitable program for you, just reach out on Messenger or send me an email through your naturopath.online and we'll connect in that way. So have a wonderful day. I hope to see you at my program. And if I don't see you there, I'm sure I'll see you around in one of my other talks or in the Facebook group. Have a fantastic day and see you next time. Bye. Wow, you stayed till the end. That's kudos to you. It's a long talk. I hope you got heaps out of it. And I'd love to see you at the Leaner Me in 23 program. So if you have 5 kilos or more of